That was supposed to be the risk and reward. I think a lot of what happened with Springtrap, especially like with the camera system, is I thought they I feel they thought people would be less selfish and use the cameras to help their teammates. That would force Springtrap to use his axe on the doors to stop the camera from working and make him just a basic 115 killer. I feel like that's what they thought was going to be the gameplay loop, but it didn't end up being that way. Again, I played this motherfucker for 100 hours, for almost 6 months straight. I can probably count on my hands the amount of times people use the cameras or doors that weren't just memeing, especially in solo queue. That's the thing. There's a Donkey quote. I love this quote so much. This is a Donkey quote when he was talking about Overwatch 2's PvE. Rest in peace, by the way. But he said, the best way to get people to work together is to trick them into thinking they're being selfish. That is the best way to get people to work together, is to make them think they're being selfish. No, I agree with her. I do think, well, I've said this before, I think Springtrap just needs like minor quality of life things. Just tiny little number tweaks. I think survivors should take longer to go through doors. Maybe 2 more seconds or so. I don't think they should do it at the same speed as Springtrap. I think that's stupid. Again, I've talked about it multiple times. The axe windup could be faster, just a tiny bit. The projectile speed could be a tiny bit faster. No, Donkey didn't die. I was saying Overwatch 2's... Jesus Christ. I was saying Overwatch 2's PvE mode, rest in peace. Well, no, there's a reason for that, though, Clown. It's my biggest problem I've had with DBD, Survivor, and Solo Queue since I've started playing the game. The game doesn't encourage teamwork. If anything, it discourages teamwork. What's the common saying? What's the common saying that everyone says? Altruism kills. How many games have you gone from a 1K to a 3K because people dive bombed a hook because they wanted to help their teammate? How many times do you end up tunneling someone because someone thought they were doing the right thing by getting their survivor off of hook as quickly as possible? The ironic thing about DBD is that it is a team game that you don't play like a team game. And I think that is a problem. I have always thought that is a problem. It discourages people using certain perks. It discourages people going for certain plays that would be probably better most of the time. And it divides the community in this weird way where, again, there's Killer, Swift, and Solo Queue, right? There's like 3 different things. Exactly. Well, that's the other thing. Gens before friends, too, right? In a lot of situations, the best play is to leave someone on hook. And I don't even think it's just because of the hook timers going up. I think it's always been this way. I just think the hook timer increase made people realize how good it is. It's such a weird thing. Again, Dead by Daylight is so non-teamwork focused. It kind of hurts. The only thing in this game that requires your teammate is a lot of perks that no one uses and being unhooked and healed. And even then, there's ways to circumvent one of those. The other one has a circumvention technically, but Deliverance only works once. And it infuriates me. I hate it so much. I really wish the game encouraged teamwork more. Say what you will about Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and it's funny about this, right? It's so funny. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, ironically, was designed to be more selfish on the survivor end, right? The survivors in that game, I know they're not called survivors, shut up. The survivors in that game were encouraged to kind of play solo, play for themselves, while the killer side was kind of forced to kind of play as a team. That was one of its biggest problems. But that game had a lot of ways to make you help your teammates in ways that felt impactful and made you want to do it. And one of the smallest things they did to encourage this was you got experience for staying in the game after you died. Now, that seems like such a small thing, but it matters. Because that means once you die, you will probably stay and watch the rest of the match to get that bonus experience, which means you get to watch your teammates play, which means you get to understand why they did, what they were doing. On top of it, builds a little bit of camaraderie because now you're kind of rooting for your teammate to get out. In Dead by Daylight, you die and you leave. You go into the next match. Who cares? Unless you're in a Swift. But like DBD genuinely needs more things like that where it finds a way to make survivors want to work together even in solo queue. And I know a lot of people suggested like a ping system. I do think that's part of what they could do. But I think there's other ways to do it. They just want to keep playing the game. Well, most of the time that's true, but the thing is, if you reward them or give them a reason to spectate, Rainbow Six Siege was a very good example of this, especially in ranked. When you die, you watch cams. That's your job. You watch cams, you give calls. So you're still doing something after you die. Right? There's still something for you to do. VHS also had this, where when you went down, you had to collect your orbs to heal instead of just being in one spot, so it kept you active. And once you died, there was the Book of the Dead. We can talk about the implementation of the Book of the Dead. The fact that it existed means that the first person to die would often, would often stay in the match, because there's a chance of them being revived. I'm not suggesting we add that to Dead by Daylight. I'm not suggesting that at all. But you have, like, I feel like there's just no reason. I feel like there's no reason for survivors to work together in Dead by Daylight. Not like, let me rephrase that. They're working together in the sense that they're going for a common goal, but a lot of times there's no encouragement to actually work together. Like search and destroy. Yeah, but I mean, that should even happen in Rainbow Six Siege in like the unranked modes. I would do it. I would still do that. I would try to be a good teammate. And I'm encouraged to, because if I do it, my team has a better chance of winning. And usually I get pats on the back for giving callouts. Got it. Add Book of the Dead to DBD. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. No, again, like, Deep Rock Galactic has this system too. I brought this up before a few times, but Deep Rock Galactic, there is, technically speaking, there is no punishment. There is no punishment for someone dying in a mission. None. There's none. You don't lose experience. You get the same amount of experience as you would have. All of your resources are the same. The difference is for every dwarf that makes it out alive, you get bonus resources. So you're not punished for people not getting out. You're rewarded for everyone making it out. DBD also doesn't have that. You're all injured. I'm gonna set a scene here. There's 4 survivors alive. Killer has someone on a hook. Everyone's on death hook. Everyone's injured. There is literally no reason for you to go and save your survivor teammate. None. There is no reason to go do it other than being a nice person. And I feel like there should be a reason. I feel like there should be. This literally happened just in the last match on Ormond Lakefront, right? They knew it. I had her hooked out like way far from a gate. They were all on death hook. At best, they trade. At worst, I kill 3 of them. It's not that they don't know better. It's not that they don't know better. I've asked this so many times about like solo queue. Because 1, name a game with good solo queue, because I can't think of one, at least a PvP game. 2, have you ever done a group project? You ever done a group project before? I can tell you right now, when you get 4 people trying to accomplish one task, it doesn't matter if they even know each other, unless like they're friends. Yeah, one person's doing most of the work, one person's not doing anything, one person is like kinda helping but half-assing it, and the other person doesn't even know what's going on, but is trying to help. Because again, you're having 4 people go into a match. with 4 different perspectives on what is considered the best play at that specific time with limited information, given the context of the situation they're in. It's why most of the times I don't get mad at my teammates in PvP games, because I understand that maybe in their mind at that time, with the information they had, based on their experience, that was in their mind the best thing to do. I don't think it's malicious, I don't think it's stupidity, and I don't think it's necessarily ignorance. It's just humans being humans. We're not perfect. You're not perfect. Sometimes you're the bad teammate. No, I agree. I do think they should add more info on the Survivor side. I genuinely think so. The problem is, and it's the same problem Dead by Daylight always has, is that they would have to implement that, and then people will be mad because they don't immediately nerf anything, which I don't think they should. I think if you add information to solo queue, then you should wait, see what happens, and then nerf things as needed. I don't know what the solution is. I am horrible, for I am evil, and... No, I agree. I think ignorance can be a partial reason. I do agree. I just don't think it's necessarily the only reason. No, I get what you're saying. My point is that it's not always the only reason. And it also depends on what we want to define as ignorance in that situation, right? I think a good example is, like, you're on a gen, someone's hooked, you see that 2 people aren't hooked, or aren't doing gens, so in your mind, you're in neither... What you see one person in chase, and the other person isn't in... the other person isn't on a gen. In your mind, given the information that you have in that particular situation, the other person is going for the unhook. That is the best logical thought you have. However, because of you don't have all the information, you are ignorant to the fact that the other person isn't doing a gen, they're just running around. So you don't go for the save. Does that make you a bad teammate? And before you say, no, it makes them a bad teammate, it's not the question. I didn't ask if it made that. Does it make you a bad teammate? Because I don't think it's a black and white answer. Literally, if you add info to solo queue, balancing should be much easier since everyone would be on a more equal playing field when it comes to the tools available. In theory, it should, but at the same time, unless you add voice comms, so Swift will still have an advantage. Just so kill rates can tank. I mean, it depends. Again, like, I'm a huge advocate for 9.3. I think it was a good direction for the game. I've talked about this multiple times. I enjoyed that PTB more than any time I played Dead by Daylight because it felt so fluid to play it. I just think I feel like the ideas were sound. It was just a lot of number tweaking they had to do. I've said it so many times. I was actually talking to someone before stream about this. One of the biggest things they needed to do was the punishment on killer for tunneling someone should have been on a timer. It shouldn't have been permanent. It should have been like it should have been 45, or it should have been, is pop still 45 seconds? Yeah, it should have been 45 seconds. Not till the rest of the game is over. And again, I've said this before about 9.3. I'm actually working on a video for it. I have, like, it outlined. I just need to work on it more. But, like, the problem with trying to fix tunneling... The problem with trying to fix tunneling is that behavior trying to fix it is different than how the community wants it fixed. That was the biggest problem with that entire situation. The community wants tunneling fixed because they want it to not feel necessary. Behavior wants it fixed so it's not even an option. Not necessarily an option, but it's not nearly as much of a thing. Aside from Pig and Sadako, I enjoyed 9.2. Again, I think that's just a problem with the killer's designs. Unfortunately, I don't know how you necessarily fix that unless you make it not affect them specifically. Again, the 6-hook thing was specifically there to stop ping-ponging. I didn't have a question whether or not enough people would even use VC to justify it being added. Deadass, I believe people will only use it to say... Well, that's the other thing. You know what? I've said this before for years. You know what's worse than not being able to talk to your teammate in voice chat? Thinking you can, but they have you muted. That is so much worse. And I don't know about y'all, but whenever I join a PvP game with voice chat, I immediately turn that shit off. I don't do it. That's why I don't play Siege anymore. It's just I just don't have the mental bandwidth for it anymore. If someone doesn't have it, you'll be targeted by your team to get you out. It's like when someone runs no mither and they cry about it without knowing the plan. Exactly, yeah. But I'm just saying that the closer we can bridge the gap, the easier it'll be to balance the game. That's the thing, though. I don't fully agree with that. And the reason why I don't fully agree with that is because of every other video game in existence. By that logic, every game with voice chat should be super easy to balance. Because the thing is, no matter how much you add to solo queue, no matter how much information you give to people, it doesn't matter because humans are humans. Everyone's different. Everyone has a different plan. Like, it all started when we began to stand Yoon Jin. It has gone downhill ever since. True. Make hooks a shared pool so nobody dies until 9 hooks. The kill rate tanks for 6 months until behavior gigabuffs killers. I mean, the issue with that, and I know you're kind of like half joking, but the issue with that would be shoulder the burden. Yeah, but Clint, how do you fix that? How do you fix that? You don't. Again, you cannot fix human nature. When I play ranked in Overwatch, I'm listening to a podcast while I'm playing because I don't care. I only play ranked because it's better matchmaking. What if we were dogs instead of humans, though? You mute the VC. Yeah, but then you complain that your teammates are still playing bad. That's, and I'm not saying you specifically, but I'm saying like in general, right? Again, I cannot think of a single PvP team-based game where people do not complain about solo queue. I can't think of one. Ping wheel, just permanent auras. I think permanent auras would be a little bad. I think bond-based kit would be fine. Maybe lower the range. Every time, hero, every time. It's just like, I don't know what people are expecting to happen to try and quote-unquote fix solo queue. There is no fix to solo queue. It's not that we should make it better. Or, let me rephrase that. It's not that we shouldn't make solo queue better. I'm not saying we shouldn't or can't. I'm just saying there is no way to make solo queue this masterful utopia that people want it to be. It won't really help unless people want to justify third-party comms like Discord, Swift, even though that's what party systems are for spawning up. No. And again, I get it. I'm just making the point that it doesn't. I'm making the point that VC or not, like anything else, even if it was VC, because I don't want VC in this game either. I think adding VC into a game after the fact is really dumb. League of Legends tried to do it and it didn't fucking work. But no, it's. I don't know how you fix solo queue. Because again, you can get people, you can lead a horse to water, you can't make him drink it, right? Like, and if anything, I think giving all that information would kind of make solo queue worse. Because now people would like get mad at their teammates for doing something they clearly shouldn't with the information they had. Oh, I see. You do have the gift. Just don't let survivors play with their friends so everyone's solo queue. Yeah, about that. I mean, by all technical definitions, and this isn't me saying it is, but by all technical definitions, Discord is cheating. By all definitions, except for semantics. That's the one definition that doesn't apply. Solo queue will never be comms, not just for the HUD aspects of it, but because you're not compatible / cooperative with all kinds of playstyles and intentions. Exactly. You know what one of the best changes they did to solo queue was, and it's one no one talks about anymore. One of the best changes to solo queue was this. Not the Survivor Quest. This. This is one of the best changes to solo queue they ever did. And no one talks about it. No, here, I said the same thing. Not the group system. I do think that would be a nice little thing. But I said the same thing. The only way to improve it is to encourage people to actually play together. This shit right here, this right here, was the biggest plague on solo queue, and I will die on that hill. I loved what the tomes were trying to do. But let's not forget that there were tomes like blind the killer 6 times. Unhook yourself using the perk Deliverance. Okay, these are actually kind of bad examples. Where's a good example? Commune with the yellow glyph 4 times. I don't even know what yellow glyphs do. Wow, I'm picking like the worst tomes I could pick. Look, the fucking the mirror shards ones? Remember these on Survivor? The white glyph? Then my built-in Xbox party system should get me banned by the... No, yeah, I get what you're saying, yeah. And I get you know what I know you know I know what you're saying. Well, let's also not forget that don't you have access to Discord on PlayStation now? What, the only system that doesn't have like Discord on it or like an available party chat is what, Switch? No, I agree. I think keep playing as a group is something this game needs desperately. I don't understand why we don't have it. Take 2 protection hits. Stun the killer and escape the trial as Jane Romero. What if you don't have any perks on Jane Romero? What if your way of escaping is playing Jane, stunning the killer, and then hiding for the rest of the match? I'm telling you, I will die on the hill that them removing the tome challenges was one of the best things they could have done to solo queue. I didn't notice the Rift challenges influence until like a week ago. I found that it's easier to make them not just because of the inner difficulty, but also less people is like... Exactly! That's the thing. Like, there was some tome challenges that were like, cleanse 3 totems in a single match. So people would go in with a full totem cleansing build. They wouldn't touch a gen. They wouldn't unhook people. And they would just do the tome to get the fuck out of the match. Escape the trial while using the perk Overzealous on Hattie. Like, what? That's not even that bad, honestly. Pink glyphs. Blue glyphs. Selecting this challenge generates a blue glyph that affects you with either the blindness or oblivious status effect. So just be blinded and oblivious for the rest of the match. No, I agree. Some killer... The difference, though, between the killer one and the survivor one is that if the killer wants to go out of their way to do a tome challenge, it affects literally no one. Depending on the challenge. Like, it might cause the other side to, like, get a little angry at you, but, like, it doesn't, like, directly affect them in the sense of... I don't know what this... When you do a really stupid tome challenge on Survivor, your 3 teammates get punished for it. When you do a really dumb tome challenge on Killer, the only one realistically getting punished for it is you as the killer. I must pet this good boy. Like, they were, like, the Trapper ones, like, these were so bad. Catch a survivor in a bear trap 6 times as the Trapper in one match. Unhook one survivor to the in-game collapse has begun. Blind the killer while they're carrying somebody. The Plague Tome. Like, some of these were so rough. Stun the killer by exiting a locker with head-on 2 times. Complete this in 1 trial. Now you got your dumbass teammate running head-on, spamming into lockers, trying to get a save, or trying to get a stun with head-on. Granted, if you're in a Swift, this isn't that big of a deal. You know the plan, you know what's going on. But if you're not in a Swift, your teammate is just wasting time trying to get head-on plays. Like, I've never realized how bad some of these can be. Can succeed 8 consecutive... Okay, that one's not that bad, honestly. Hide within 10 meters of the killer without being caught for a total of 30 seconds and then escape the trial as Dwight Fairfield. So, find the killer while he's chasing your teammate and don't do anything because you can't die. And then hide the rest of the match as Dwight. Escape one trial when your next time on Hook would immediately sacrifice you as Kate. Play Kate, get on Death Hook, and then hide the rest of the match. I know a lot of these seem to be that, but honestly, interrupt... Oh, wait, that's killer. Oh, yeah, grab survivors, yay. Like, some of these were just so stupid. Vault a pallet or window while in shade. Okay. Oh, yeah, the early ones were really bad, and then, like, the later ones got better, but they still weren't that much better, honestly. It's hard to believe that tomes have been gone for, like, a year now. Yeah, then they started giving ones like, play as Trevor once. Don't escape, just play as him. Don't escape, just play as him. Remember the orange? Or the orange goes on killer. Yeah, that was a really bad one. Boot my snoot, let me go. The anniversary isn't continuously trying to stop you from getting your challenges. I remember how many Sabo squads I would see when Hook related challenges. Exactly, like it's the other. Yeah. That's another one. Wasn't there like a tome challenge for like, I forget which killer it was, but there was a tome challenge for like Sabo 10 hooks in a single match. Like, what? And escape. No, I know Swift's never existed at one point. I just think it would be dumb, especially now, to remove that feature.